Welcome to Hello Kind Soul Podcast, where we raise the vibration of kindness on a global scale. I'm Dr. Ebony Green, your host, and I'm super excited to be with you today. If you want to follow us on all major platforms, look us up at Hello Kind Soul Podcast. And if you want to follow me, look me up at E Green Equity. I hope you enjoy the episode. Have a great day. Welcome to Hello Kind Soul. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Green. I'm so excited to be in community with you this week. There's a phrase that I read the other day that says, people who want to see you win will help you win. And when I read it, I thought about like how many people that I've just been blessed to have in my life have helped me, supported me, given me kind words, encouragement, all the things. But it actually brought me to a greater story, right? And so recently I had a bump in the road, we'll call it, right? There are these moments, anybody who builds businesses, who's an entrepreneur, who's really committed to doing something epic in the world, understands the ebb and flow of the journey, right? And there are moments that you get on that journey that really bring you pause, and it makes you really sit and think about, is this real? Is this feasible? Is this realistic? Am I making sense? And I had one of those moments recently. And when I started to think about what I needed to solve my problem, it really, really, really required me to be willing to come outside my ego and ask for help. And so even in thinking about the phrase, people who want to see you win will help you win, you know, you read it when you scroll and you're like, oh, that's great. Yes, you know, people have, but there are levels to this, right? There are levels to which people will help you. And then sometimes the questions that come to my mind is like, if they help you, are you then going to feel silly? Will they tell people they helped you, right? Like, because there are these moments where I think ego drives the car in your life at certain points. And while I want to say that the best version of us don't utilize ego to make decisions, yet and still here we are, right? And so in that moment, I was a second from deciding like, okay, we're going to call it quits and go in a different direction because I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't have what I need. And if I don't figure it out, it impacts other people. And one of the things that I think about the genesis of Hello Kind Soul is really me envisioning a world where we are really interconnected as people, right? That there's this global community that genuinely cares about each other. And part of that is manifesting and creating that within your own circle, within your own space. But the true testament is when all the chips fall, who's still sitting there, right? And so in the process of your time of struggle or challenge or needing other people, there's almost an inventory I feel like we go through, right? You're like, okay, Eb, check, Sally, check, right? And you're thinking about these people that you can call on to ask for help, to talk and be a thought partner with, potentially to have them support you in a particular way in doing this thing called change the world. But also in that is, are you able to say to other people, hey, I need help? And so for me, I think this episode is really, the importance of it is like, I need you to become comfortable with asking for help. And I need you to be comfortable asking for help, especially when you call people your community, my soul family, my tribe. Like there are all these ways that we describe people that care about us. And then when something actually comes up where we need to ask them to help us do something, right? Support us, be in service of us, whatever the thing, then all of a sudden we don't want to ask any of them. Like, oh, well, they'll say no, or they probably can't help, or they don't have it, or whatever it is, right? The truth of the matter is when you're calling them your community, your soul family, your tribe, whatever whatever way you frame them, are you understanding that if people want to see you win, they will help you do so? And so in my particular challenge where I actually thought like, this is it. Like, I don't know how to go from here, because what you will find in building anything great, right? Those of you watching this, I'm sure many of you are doing that in your own way, shape, or form, right? But in order to achieve a great task, in order to build something great, what we end up realizing is that ultimately there are ebbs and flows to it. And you will not know all the things, all the moves, all the ways you need to move to make sure that you get to the finish, you achieve the goal, right? You do that piece. And so in the spirit of trying to figure out what next looks like, when you're out there on the journey, cultivating what needs to be cultivated to achieve your outcome and to change the world, you can't always anticipate what's going to come next. Because when you're building something that you're building through vision, you don't actually know what the next step looks like, right? And before I've said walk by vision and not by sight, right? And when you're walking by sight, you could see what the next step should be, right? If you're walking a path and there's rocks, you know where the next rock is. When you're walking by vision, you're kind of like walking around and sensing and trying to figure out if this is the next thing, if this is the next move. And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong, but essentially you don't actually know until you make the move, right? And so when you're on that journey and you're building that, the thing that you're building, there are moments where you don't have the solution. And in the moment for me, when I got to this place, it was like super frustrating because I was like, dang, like, I don't know I don't know how to fix this. I don't know. And I want to know, and I always want to know, and I work really hard and I try to be really thoughtful and intentional, but I don't know how to solve this problem. And because I can't figure out how to solve this problem, we might be having to call it quits because I don't know what the next thing needs to look like. And then there was a piece inside me that's like, you know exactly who you can call to solve this problem. And I know exactly, right? In that moment, I know exactly who can solve the problem, right? I have some ideas, right? And they're not just random thoughts. There are people in your community who have already proven to you that they will show for you. They've already showed it. They've already proven it. They've already been there. They've already been in the trenches with you trying to figure it out before, right? So sometimes it's thinking about, okay, I know that I know the person I need who can solve my problem, but here's the second piece. Here's the tricky part. Now I actually have to pick up the phone and ask them. And what's rooted in that ask, right? For me, what was rooted in that ask is that I don't have all the answers, that I'm not smart enough to figure it out, that I failed in some way, that I don't deserve the help, right? All of these voices start to kick up in my mind. And while I know sitting there, like they're lying to me, like I am worthy, I have worked hard, I really don't know, but they know. And the worst part was that they won't want to help you. And the reason I said that so slowly is like, how often do we know the person that we could call on to support us? And in our minds, we can't get past the lie. And the lie is they don't want to help you. But yet everything about who they are and how they show up and how they, send the texts of encouragement, call you, check on you, all the things tell you the opposite, that they absolutely would want to help you because they believe in you. They believe in you. They believe in your vision. They believe in the change you can create in the world. They know that you are willing to sacrifice a ton to do something in service of this world. And they're proud of you for it. And they love the fact that you're being brave in all the ways you show up. But the thing that you hear in your mind is like, they don't want to help you. You're not worthy of help. You don't deserve to have the conversation. And if you call them, that means you failed. The reason I'm saying this to you folks is like, I was literally a second from done. And I would have been done had I not had a conversation with myself internally about, are the things that you're hearing actually true or reflective of the reality you're living in right now? Literally. Right? Because what was stopping me from asking for help, and in fact, this person has actually not too long ago offered help before I even needed it. And I was like, no, I'm good, right? So now I have even more evidence that they are invested in the dream and the goals and the excitement and the passion of like, let's go do this thing that creates change. And I'm still worrying about what would they say? So let me tell you what happened. So I call them because I realize that this is bigger than me. And when you're building something and when you're trying to do things in the world that really make a difference, and those things are interdependent with other people's things, and they're trying to do epic stuff, it's not just about you. It's about everybody around you who are trying to each do something amazing, and you're your amazingness is interconnected with their amazingness. And so when you really start to think about how your world outside you moves, you realize this isn't just about you. The thing you're trying to create is related and connected to things that other people are trying to create. And if you're like-minded and those people are like-minded, you collectively are changing the world in leaps and bounds, even though you can't see it at first. And so if you just give up and you hit the stop button because it's tough, and it will be tough, folks, for those of you in the back, for those of you considering entrepreneurship, for those of you who are even in systems who are trying to do epic things to influence that system in positive ways, you know how tough it is. So it was never going to be easy. That wasn't even on the table. So if you get to these moments where you're like, I'll just quit, or I'll just give up, or I'll just walk away, if you don't have a real reason, i.e., this is not on my path, right? Or this is not something that I should be doing, right? Because there's a knowing you feel when you're in the wrong direction, you're walking the wrong direction, going the wrong way, or in the wrong space, in the wrong job, in the wrong career. You know it's the wrong thing to do. So if we put that aside and you know what you're here to do, the thing in my mind was like, I'm just going to have to make the call, right? And so I did. And so when I made the call, I called the person. I was like, hey, I really want to call you, but this is kind of what I need. And they were like, okay, cool, no problem. And I was like, wait. And I'm trying to explain to them why I need the help. And you know what they say? I don't even care. I just believe in you. No worries. And I was like, wait a minute. What? Like, so I have been stressed out, totally stressed out. And I could call this person and they could just be like, yeah, no worries. I got you. 30-second conversation. And had I not been able to move outside ego that says this whole journey of Hello Kind Soul is about transparency and vulnerability. And the reason I'm saying this to you, the reason I'm even having this conversation today or sharing this on the podcast is because there was a moment where I was so hyper-focused on appearing vulnerable that I was prepared to uproot the change that I was headed towards in my life, right? So if we really pan out of that, so on one hand, I'm constantly trying to give you stories and share things with you that exhibit what vulnerability looks like in real life. And I still have challenges where vulnerability in my mind comes across like weakness. Because the beauty of life that we've chatted about is like healing is cyclical and growing. It's one season to the next season to the next season, and we're all learning and growing. But even though we learn and grow, it doesn't replace some of the negative talk in your mind. It doesn't replace some of the things that you will experience and be challenged by. And so to think about the idea that I needed this thing that I essentially almost didn't ask for, which for some people isn't even a big ask, but in your mind, it's like, in order to ask that, I have to signal I need help. I have to be vulnerable and risk rejection, or no, I don't have time, or no, I can't. Right? I have to risk people saying, well, this person asked for help, right? All of those things, whether true or not, don't justify not asking for help. And so we have to be willing to understand that sometimes the mission is greater than our ego. Sometimes the mission is greater than worrying about showing someone that you're vulnerable and you need help. Because when we pan out and we think about life in general, all of us at some point have asked for help for various things, right? Some really, really big things, some not so big things. But asking for help is one of the things we should normalize in our communities. Because there are a lot of people that really mean us well and really care about our success and want to be able to contribute to that. Right? When you have people in your life that you are so proud of and you see them doing it and it's hard and they keep going and you're like, keep going, you got this, don't give up. You want to be a part of that if you can. So whether it's a word of wisdom, whether it's an ear to listen to them, whether it's to help them problem solve certain issues, whether it's to talk about strategy and their focus, whether it's to donate money or give money or whatever it looks like under that continuum, it's to support people that you value. Here's the piece that's really important for me to say. My strong friends out there, hey y'all, I'm one of those too. it's sometimes even harder when you're seen as the strong friend or not even the strong friend. There are people who are watching me right now, people just like me, who typically are the problem solvers, right? And we've kind of sat in that role, and we love that role because we can help other people, we can solve problems. Yeah, you need help too. You don't have the answers either. Like, you have some of them, but certainly there are people outside you who can help you in various ways, right? And I think it's important for us to realize that just because you're the person who typically solves the problem, you don't always have to solve the problem. And it's almost weird that you think you can solve all the problems without help. Like no man is an island is something my mom used to always say, right? Everyone needs somebody. That's just true. And so part of the ego for me was like, I'm always the person that tends to have the answer or can offer the help or can offer the support. And so it felt uncomfortable to say to somebody else, hey, can you help me? Because they're the strong friend too. But it was the best decision I've ever thought through, that I started out saying no. So I started out saying, I'm not going to ask for help. I'll just figure it out, right? And then I ended up coming to, the longer you refuse to step outside your ego to ask for help, the more help you're going to need. And so it was almost counterintuitive for me to take longer to decide that I needed help, because it would get to a point where you couldn't move forward. And so then you had to tap out. But even in that regard, if I had to tap out, it wasn't because I had to tap out. I'd have to tap out because I was sitting in my ego and I refused to ask for help. That's the piece where you're like, oh, yeah, that part. So sometimes the ego telling you like, don't do this thing, and this shows that you're weak, or whatever the nonsense is that's running on fast forward in your mind, those voices and that tape can destroy exactly what the very thing you believe you're here to do. Because in the moments where you need to seek guidance, make a phone call, ask for help, all the stuff, you refuse to do that, and you sit by yourself on that island, drowning, starving, not having the support you need, not having the voices in the room that can remind you that this is hard, but you're going to go through it. And so understanding that the people around you, some people around you wouldn't help you. I got it. We all know that. But there's a lot of people around you who would and can. And if they can't, they're like, okay, I can't help you, but I know someone you can actually reach out to who might be able to answer your question or support you in this way. And so I want to encourage someone out there who's going through a hard time and is so scared to ask for help. Listen, even if I would have made the call and they couldn't help me, I would have felt a lot better that I actually believed enough in me to just ask for help. Because that was a really big step for a person who tends to kind of run on my own and do the things I got to do. And I very rarely reach out for people. A lot of people do help. A lot of people do call. A lot of people do text. A lot of people make themselves available when I have questions, when I need stuff. But the idea that I had to reach out was the big piece. And so for those of you out there who are struggling right now, who are thinking or considering not moving forward in a particular way, and that not moving forward is attached to something you're supposed to do in the world that makes it better, the question I have for you is, there's someone who can help you. And if they, and when I say help, sometimes people don't have the fix, but they have the next person that could give you the fix, right? They could say, okay, I don't really know how to do those things in terms of business, but I know this person. Or I'm not really sure what this should look like, but I think you can call this person. Or here's this organization I know that there are all these other things. And so for those of you who, one, are in that space, be encouraged and reach out for help. Ask people for help. And you know the people who genuinely want to see you win and will help you. You know them, because I knew the person immediately. I just wasn't sure if I actually wanted to reach out. So that's one. Two, if you don't reach out, if you're not going to reach out, why are you not reaching out? Is it them or is it you? Is it the situation? Is it you're worried to be rejected or worried to be told no? Because that's a whole thing as well, right? Like I don't love rejection. No one does. And so is that the thing that you're terrified of, someone just saying no, even though they can, right? Do you believe that you are even worthy of help? Do you believe that you deserve to have a community of people around you who love you deeply, who will do the things necessary to make sure you're successful? All of those questions are questions that you should think about. But the reason I felt it was really important to share that is because I almost missed out on an incredible opportunity to continue to create great change. because of something I needed. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to step out of my ego and let people know, like, hey, I need this thing, right? And then the other thing is just to share with you, like, there are some folks that I know who I helped a while ago. And because I could. They reached out, I could help, so I did. And what's really funny is, so there's Hello Kind Soul, and there's some people who have really contributed a lot to our merch brand, right? To go and purchase and wear the clothing and take pictures and share it with other people because they're excited and they share it with me so I can post it, right? And I know some of those people may not have the means to do so, right? Or I assume that. And part of what their response was like, you helped me when you didn't have to. And now I can help you with these little ways of like wearing the merch and reporting back how it makes people feel. And you could post this stuff. Their point is that if I help you in a particular way, my help may not come in the form of the help you gave me. But certainly I'm going to help. I'm going to get in where I can fit in. So the other piece is when you do support people or people support you, they are aware and you are aware, I may not support you in the same way that you just supported me, but I understand the assignment, which is when I needed you, you showed for me. So when you need me, I'm going to show for you. And that support may look vastly different than what you receive from them. And that's okay, because that is the quintessential definition of a real community, of a soul family. So I encourage you, tap in. Who are your folks? If you need the support, ask them for the support. But most of all, and most importantly, remember you deserve the support, because people who want to see you win will help you win. Have a great day, kind soul. I hope to see y'all soon. Check out the past episodes if you have not done so. Go over to the website, hellokindsoulmerch.com. And if you want to kind of see what we do, book a keynote, time with me, discovery call, go to hellokindsoul.com. All right? Have a great day. Take care.